Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Mattel Batman v Superman large figure. Really truthfully, no, I'm not really sure what I could call these figures. They're not quite the deluxe figures, the smaller scale figures of course. They're not quite the Movie Masters figures. They're kind of like the next size up. They still seem to have a fair bit of articulation. I'm looking at Superman here. It looks like he's got elbow articulation, shoulder articulation. He's just bigger. He's just a bigger figure. Spot picked this up and as well picked up the Batman. As truthfully, when I went to Toys R Us initially, when I was looking for Batman v Superman stuff before I guess they've restocked the shelves, these were initially the only figures that they had available. And I picked this one up and I picked up the Batman, but I also picked up the Shield Superman figure, which kind of was lame. And that was it. And of course, since then, Spot's had a look at the other ones as well. The side of the package features both Batman and Superman, with Batman v Superman up at the top there. The back shows you one of the poses for Superman. I don't know, something seems off about his cape. It's like the cape was digitally added to that figure. That cape almost looks like the animated cape from the '89 Batman movie. Like, what was that all about? Down below, some of the other things available are the Batman helmet as well as the Bat dart gun, I guess. Contents one figure. That's a relief. But you can see what I'm talking about. It looks like that Batman is, or that Superman, I should say, is relatively posable, despite the fact he is just a larger figure. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, however, we're going to get a better look at the tall, if you want to call it, tall Superman figure. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Excluding for perhaps the fact that Superman's face is extremely shiny, I must say this figure as a whole is pretty good. I know, I'm surprised myself. It is actually a pretty good figure. Before everybody gets hateful down below in their comments, let me just explain why Spot has come to this deliberation, this resolution that this figure is actually pretty good as a whole. For starters, let me entertain the courtroom with Exhibit A. This figure has a cloth cape. It's almost like a felt cape, really. On the back side, it's a little smoother than the front. It definitely looks more like a felt cape. The smaller figure, let me bring to Exhibit B here. The smaller figure that we've already had a look at, the Superman here, if you remember, had this god-awful plastic cape. I would entertain to everybody out there, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, why could they not have given this cape to this Superman? I would not consider taking this cape off, but I guess if you had felt, red felt, just swapping it out with the one that comes with this Superman, take this plastic cape off and just be done with it. And switch it out for like felt or something. Or even just like a red material. So like already, without even looking at the rest of the figure, this figure is better than this figure. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like where Mattel was really thinking with their logic. Okay. Shiny face. I don't think that this one would necessarily be considered a true likeness to Superman. This one might be a little bit better. This one, of course, has better proportioned hands. Proportionately, I think he fits the bill a little bit better than Superman here with really large arms and really large hands. But you also remember this Superman only had swivels in the legs. He did have hinges in the knees, granted, and he only had swiveled arms with bends in the elbow. If I look at this figure here, for example, why this figure is so surprising to me above and beyond the idea that he's got fabric for a cape, but he actually does have articulation. More articulation than I was expecting. You almost feel like somebody in the boardroom switched and actually got the wrong figures mixed up. Like they should have said this figure's articulation should have been on the smaller figure. And because these are larger figures that the kids probably would be gravitating more towards, you could have just given them just straight swiveled legs. I'm not saying that kids will be happy with anything, but really I don't think a lot of collectors are going to be buying the larger figures here. All right, all right, all right, all right. Comparisons aside, let's first have a look at Superman's face. What's the deal with this overly shiny face? It also looks like he's got a wig on. I don't know why, it just looks off to me. But he's got an extremely shiny face with a little actually hair there. We'll just move that out of the way. Very, very shiny face. The rest of his body, I guess, is shiny too, but because you can kind of write that off as his outfit, it makes a little bit more sense to me. Costume-wise, he's a little weirdly just straight. Like he has no defined, he's got a defined chest, but he's got no triangular shape to him. He's just like a big rectangle. Not sure why, but I guess maybe to spare the articulation in the arms and stuff like that, which we will get at in a second. Costume's good. Just, I don't know why. Like if you look at this Superman, he's still got like the narrow rectangular shaped body, but he's a little broader in the shoulders, so it kind of just compensates for it. This Superman, on the other hand, is just really narrow. Just really narrow. Articulation, let's bring the camera down here a bit. Articulation is kind of where this baffles me. His head is on a ball joint, which hinders slightly up and down, but still moves left and right. Shoulders hinge out. The other Superman did not have that. A bend in the elbow, which also rotates the lower arm. What? Is this witchcraft? He also has rotation in the hand. He is very light also. Let me also preface by saying the figure is very light. Feels very hollow. There's not really a lot going on to him, but again, like he's got loads of articulation. Superman can literally do the splits. This figure, unfortunately, cannot. Other than that, he doesn't have anything else. He's got no knee articulation, no posability in the lower boot area. But all things considered, kind of weighing out the pros and weighing out the cons, this figure, I hate to say, almost has more pros to him than he does have cons. Yes, he has an overly shiny face. Yes, he doesn't have any posability in the knees. But he's still a better figure than this one right here, that this figure should have had this going on, especially the fabric cape, not this fruit roll-up cape. I must say, Spot, very surprised indeed that this figure turned out actually as good as it turned out. You know, as you kind of get larger up in figure size, they tend to get a little skimpier when it comes to posability. They tend to feel a little lighter, which Superman here does feel like. But he's still a better figure than the smaller figure, which is just mind-blowing. Today's toy spot we were looking at, and again, I have no idea what do we want to call this line? Just giant size? Just the large size Superman figure? I might just do that. I'll just title it somewhere. I'll title it large size Superman figure, just a large Superman figure. Today, though, we're looking at the Batman v Superman figure. Wow, surprise. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to actually have the look at Batman. He's going to be right around the corner. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.